And USA Today had a big front page feature on the new health care law and said that the opposition to Obamacare at all-time high. In fact, it's gotten so bad, the president is now calling it Biden care. Yeah. Now, I'm still it. Look. Agnes, speaking of that.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the Steve Malzberg Show. And that's Jay Leno joining us now. We've been kicking off the segment with Jay Leno quite a bit lately. Joining us now is our friend Noel Sheppard, associate editor, I should say, at Newsbusters.org. Hello, sir.
How are you, sir?
Good. Welcome to Malzberg's Media Madness.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, well, are you kidding me? It wouldn't be it without you. So there's Jay Leno, and there he is giving a joke about the health care and the lack of popularity. But it didn't stop someone like, for instance, Bob Woodward, shall we say, from attacking the Republicans, as you pointed out in one of the pieces that you wrote at newsbusters.org. And let's give a listen to how he put it with regard to this battle to defund Obamacare. This is cut 37, Will.
Republicans are out here, a group of them in the House, essentially using extortion and blackmail methods to say, if we don't defund Obamacare, we're not going to do the routine things of government.
Yeah, extortion, blackmail.
Yeah.
What on earth is he talking about?
I don't know, and he never elaborated. So, I mean, that would have been an interesting follow-up by David Gregory, but I think David liked what he said, so he just let it pass. But I'm wondering exactly what extortion and bribery has been taking place. It's not what I've seen, and I wonder whether he thought it was extortion and bribery when the Democrats forced Obamacare through the throats of the Americans by using a little-known kind of a loophole called reconciliation in the Senate. I wonder if he was as offended by that as he is by Republicans now trying to stop a bill that each week seems to get less and less popular. I mean, you know, it's interesting here how the media are all for something that the public is completely against. We seem to see that a lot these days. We
absolutely do. Very often the polls fly in the face of what the media is preaching. Yet the media will have you believe as a viewer that if you disagree with them and you're sitting out there, but you're actually in the majority, but you've got to be thinking there's something wrong with you, because how could all these people on TV be thinking one way and I'm thinking the other?
Well, the other side of this is, and when we went through this in 2011, the media were tremendously dishonest about the looming budget deficit fight and the increase of the debt ceiling. The reality here is, and you and I have discussed this for years, there is ample money coming into the Treasury via tax receipts every month to pay the bulk of our necessary expenditures. All of this talk about a debt default is nonsense. We have plenty of money coming in to pay the interest on the debt. We would never in a million years default on our debt. I mean, what these folks don't seem to realize as they talk about this gloom and doom if the debt ceiling isn't increased is the stock market yesterday hit a new all-time high in the S&P and the Dow. Now, if this really was a dire circumstance, would the markets be screaming the way they are? The answer is no. The markets learned from 2011, if you recall, when as we moved towards the impasse and it looked like there was not going to be a deal, the markets collapsed by about 10%. Since then, every time we've had one of these impasses, the markets have shrugged it off because they realized, you know what, it's really not that big of a deal. The other thing that's kind of dishonest here is, I'm sure you've seen this, the debt has not expanded now, I think, for something like 3 months. Now, we're still, obviously, we still have a deficit. Yet they've done something really neat here at the Treasury. They continue to claim that our debt is the same as it was previous week, the week before. So where's the crisis if the debt isn't rising?
Yeah, good question. Very good question. All right, and this is going to develop, and we have, the media. I was listening to Wolf Blitzer do an interview earlier. It was just unbelievable, telling us that, the people who are getting kicked off their health care plans, they could always go into a government health care insurance plan, as if that's a good thing. Anyway, so we'll talk about that more in the coming weeks, I'm sure. But let's move to the shooting, the horrific shooting at the Navy Yard, and the misrepresentation of so-called facts. And in particular, I mean, there was so much wrong, as seems to be the case in all these kinds of shootings.
Right.
But here we had this myth that the shooter himself, Aaron Alexis, brought with him an AR-15 assault rifle.
Right.
And that is just not true. Here's Pierce Morgan making the first misstatement. 24 is first, Will. 24. I believe this is one Monday. Here's cut 24.
Law enforcement says he was armed with an AR-15, another rifle, and a semi-automatic Glock. They believe he used the AR-15 for most, if not all, of the shooting. That gun was legally purchased.
All right, and then after you called him out, and Newsbusters called him out and said, it was not an AR-15. When will he acknowledge that? When will he apologize? He doubled down, and as late as the other day, here's what he had to say. This is cut 23.
Really, since Obama got reelected, making sure I get one before I can get one.
Yeah.
Well, that's really exactly what I'm looking for.
Well, that's it, man. Sold.
All you need is 2 forms ID with same name and address and a credit card or some money.
I got that.
You don't even got to ask for permission?
No.
Oh, man, I'm giving you a punch in your mouth. You all right.
Showing how easy it is to buy a weapon in America, CNN's inside man, Morgan Spurlock, at a gun store in Virginia, the very state where Aaron Alexis bought his gun.
Okay, which by implication tells me, well, that's exactly where Aaron Alexis bought his AR-15, which he did not buy.
Which he did not buy. Piers Morgan, at this point in time, CNN really has to rethink Piers Morgan. And I don't care that he had decent ratings on Tuesday with his show. This guy is such an anti-Second Amendment advocate at this point in time, and that's all he is. And he's got a book coming out now about his gun position. I made him aware via Twitter, and others did as well on Monday, that there were questions arising concerning whether Alexis had an AR-15. And there was already speculation that, and the pictures that they got from security cameras, it appeared that he entered exclusively. And again, this is Monday. Now, the first reports that come out on Monday, law enforcement are saying it appears that he had an AR-15. And it's okay that people reported that. It ended up being wrong, but that's what they were getting from law enforcement officials. And we're relying on law enforcement to give us information. So I have no problem with any of the outlets, including CNN, who early in the day when the first information was coming out was saying it appears he was using an AR-15. Okay, but by the time Morgan went on the air at 9 p.m. Eastern time on Monday evening, there were already multiple news organizations reporting that law enforcement at this point believed that Alexis had entered exclusively with a shotgun, and that the other guns, including the AR-15, he got from security officials and officers in the yard. And later on, they suggested that he had taken it from a safe. Now we find out that he didn't have an AR-15 at all. But what Piers Morgan did that was tremendously unethical on Monday evening is after law enforcement officials had said, well, wait a minute, we don't believe that he brought the AR-15 in, he continued to report that Monday evening, and he has yet to retract, irrespective of how many people, including me and the Media Research Center, have asked him to correct his report. He has not. And then he goes on Monday, and he shows this video of Morgan Spurlock going into a gun store in Virginia, buying an AR-15, and as you said, by implication, it's implying that that's the gun that Alexis used.
Right. He says that's where he bought his gun.
That's right. This guy Morgan is at this point in time, he is a troublemaker.
Yeah.
And CNN really has to question. And if it's just all about ratings and it's not all about facts, then please drop this most trusted name in news nonsense. That logo at this point in time, you can't possibly use that logo and have Piers Morgan on the air.
Yeah.
You can't.
All right. We're talking to Noel Sheppard, Newsbusters.org here on Malzberg's Media Madness. Let's go to another branch of Time Warner, and that would be Time Magazine. We're going to put up on the screen for those watching, but for those, of course, listening on radio, I want you to explain what Time Magazine did. You wrote a piece the other day, how Time used their cover of the September 16th issue of their magazine to shill for President Obama. Go ahead.
Yeah, this is really very, very ugly stuff. Most people probably don't know that Time publishes 4 different versions of its magazine each week. Obviously, one is in America. Then there's one that's throughout most of Europe, and then there's one that's in Asia, and one in the South Pacific. Well, in the 3 versions that went to the rest of the world, there was a picture of Vladimir Putin, the Russian president, and under the picture it read, hold on a second, I'm trying to find it.
Wait a minute.
What did it read?
Yeah, I could tell you what it said. The world according to Vladimir Putin, and what it said on the left, right to the left of it. I don't. Let's see. It's in your thing.
America's weak and waffling. Russia's rich and resurgent, and its leader doesn't care what anybody thinks of him. Now, again, America's weak and waffling.
Right.
So that's what went
international
all around the world.
Yeah, but not in America.
Not in America. Instead, in America, it was a picture of a football player, and the subject was something to the effect of
it's time to play. It's time. Right. It's time to pay college athletes.
Time to pay college athletes.
Quite a different sense of urgency between that story and the one that they put on the international front page.
Right. America's weak and waffling goes to the rest of the world.
Wow.
America gets it's time to pay college athletes. Really, really disgusting stuff. Time should be embarrassed. They should have to explain this. Now, by the way, apparently it's not uncommon that there are different covers across the world. But when you send 3 out, the same one, all over the world, and it's completely different than the one here in America, and the one that you sent out on the world is bashing America?
Yeah.
Wow.
So not only are they offering Obama cover, but they're at the same time, and perhaps more importantly, sending out an American bashing cover story, and here they disguise, and people think, oh, how nice they're doing a story on paying college athletes. I mean,
it's almost like they published Pravda's version,
right,
all around the world, and then Pravda's version of. Or Pravda's negativity of us here, it's just nuts.
All right,
it doesn't make any sense.
No, it doesn't. And now let's go to 2 things. One is HBO, and one is ABC. HBO is as you reported, is making a movie on Benghazi.
And what's interesting here, not only are they making a movie, they bought the options to the book Under Fire: The Untold Story of the Attack in Benghazi.
Fred Burton and Sam Katz, they were on this show, yeah.
Oh, is that? Oh, okay. Well, this is Fred Burton and Samuel Katz, and for those who aren't familiar with Burton, I mean, he's a VP at Stratford. This is a specialist on terrorism.
Yep.
As is Katz, and their book that just came out a few weeks ago is by no means an Obama cover-up. This is they apparently, according to Bedard over at the Washington Examiner, and I haven't read the book, but this apparently is a scathing rebuke on the administration's handling of the attack and their handling of the propaganda subsequent to the attack. And if HBO, which we know is a very, very left-leaning organization, the question here is, are they going to do a fair job in representing what Burton and Katz wrote? Or are they going to whitewash it? That's going to be interesting.
I would, Noel. I mean, I first of all, I don't even have HBO anymore. I won't pay Bill Maher's salary. I actually stopped paying for them when Tom Hanks's the military thing portraying American soldiers with Tom Hanks several years ago was out. I said I can't take this anymore. So I can't imagine that they would accurately portray what's in this book and what the authors presented to us on this show. I mean, it doesn't make sense.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. Unless, is it possible that there's been enough backlash because of Bill Maher, because of, if you remember the Game of Thrones finale last year, where there was a shot of George W. Bush's severed head on a spear. They got a lot of pushback about that. Is it conceivable that they're thinking, hey, we need to throw out some red meat to conservatives or to moderates and conservatives to try to balance a little bit? Let's see. I mean, that would be interesting.
Yep. Well, I will give them credit if they do it. I know you will too. Finally, I didn't know that there's this great silver lining in divorce, but ABC apparently has created a comedy about the silver lining of divorce.
The silver lining of the divorce. Yeah. So this is the untitled comedy is about the dirty little secret of those days and nights when your ex has the kids. You get to drink too much and binge watch Breaking Bad without checking homework or giving baths. It's about the silver lining of divorce. When I saw this and it was at Deadline, it's not that I almost threw up, but I almost did. It's just, why are we? What I found funny, what struck me almost instantaneously, is the liberal media have been for several years, and they've really picked up steam this year, pushing for same-sex marriage. So marriage is really important for the LGBT crowd. But it must be really bad for heterosexuals because all the media do is talk about divorce.
Right.
And how wonderful that is.
Well, it's all part of it. It all makes sense because it's that the typical family, as America has known it or thought of it, and most Americans have lived it, a mother, a father, and siblings. That's passé. It's not good. It's to be made fun of. It's to be ripped apart, replaced with either single moms, having babies on their own because who needs a dad, or two moms and two dads. Anything but the traditional family, which is bad, and that's the way it's going.
And it is. And yet what's peculiar is all of the statistics show, and it's irrefutable, that part of the decline in grades and the increase in crime, various societal ills that you and I could discuss, all seem to be either directly or indirectly tied to single-parent households.
Absolutely right. You are absolutely right.
So why is it if you're a media that is, let's say, opposed to violence or opposed to drug use or opposed to high school dropouts, whatever, any of the societal ills that you could point to, you say, what, we don't think this is good. Why is it that you're breaking down the family structure that seems responsible for curing those ills?
We will leave it. We will leave it at that cliffhanger, Noel. And I thank you as always. We'll speak to you next week, my friend. Thank you.
Sounds good, sir.
Bye-bye. Noel Sheppard, Associate Editor, Newsbusters.org. Malzberg's Media Madness. You want to weigh in? 855-777-9660 on the Steve Malzberg Show on Newsmax TV and radio.
The Steve Malzberg Show.